There we go. Hello and welcome to Louth in Lincolnshire. I'm Christopher Maltman. This is Audrey Saint-Gilles, my love, as well as my pianist on this occasion. I'd like to start by saying a couple of thank yous. First of all, thank you to Audrey for all of her input and beautiful playing. Thank you to Los Angeles Opera for their Los Angeles Opera at Home series, which we're now taking part in, to commemorate the loss of our wonderful production of Not Silly Figaro, which we were all very, very sad about. Incredibly sad not to be back in Los Angeles, because it's a lot warmer than Louth and Lincolnshire. Also, I have to say a huge thank you here, because as you can probably guess, this is not my living room, so it's not actually a living room concert. This is the hall of the local Salvation Army here in Louth. We're not affiliated with them in any way, but they, like incredible good Samaritans, stepped up and let us use their empty hall, their fantastic piano, and we have to say an enormous thank you to them, because without that we would have probably gone insane, and we couldn't give you this concert right now. I'd like to say one other thing before I start telling you about our little programme for this evening. It'll be quite short, but we are coping with, as my grandma used to say to me, we're short of nothing we've got. So, we only have an iPhone, which is on 3G at the moment, because there's no Wi-Fi here, so I hope that holds out. We have an iPad, and Audrey is turning herself. So, this iPad sometimes does crazy things, does it not? Mm-hmm. Like turning backwards and God knows what. If we have a problem, because this, although it's digital, is a proper live performance. If anything happens, we'll just stop and start again and laugh about it, and you'll all forget, and you'll be incredibly charmed. So, our programme. Now, when I put together the idea of something to replace, who can replace Not Silly Figaro, but I thought, well, how do we go about putting some pieces together for that? So, I thought, well, the three Mozart da Ponte operas are a good place to start, but also the life of Lorenzo da Ponte himself, who was a fascinating character. He was born in 1749 near Venice, and so his career started in Venice as a priest, as a Catholic priest, but he wasn't a very good Catholic priest, and was actually banished from Venice for 15 years for, shall we say, not behaving in a priest-like way with a lady and having children with her. So, we're going to start with Lorenzo da Ponte's hometown of Venice, and two songs that evoke the spirit of that magical city. First we have the Venezianisches Gondolied, the Venetian Gondola song by Mendelssohn, where Ninetta, the girl, is being wooed by a handsome chap and asked to come into the boat with him and go out for a little paddle over the lagoon.
Oh,
So while we stay in Venice, I'm going to ask you to look at the beautiful Oltre St. Gilles just for 2 seconds while I check the phone and make sure we actually are going live.
It is freezing, so if I...
Yes, we are! We are! Hooray!
Forgive me.
We don't have the Los Angeles sunshine here either, although it's been quite warm for Lincolnshire standards. Audrey, we may have to deploy a heater in a while if Audrey's fingers get too cold. So the next song is also from Venice. This is from a song cycle by Ronaldo Hahn, who was an incredible Venezuelan guy, ended up in Paris around the turn of the century, in the 1900-ish, and became the darling of the salons in Paris. And he wrote this song in Venetian dialect. Forgive me, any people from Venice out there, if I mangle your beautiful dialect, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And a little piece of trivia here. Ronaldo Hahn apparently premiered this next song, La Barchetta, the boat, in a gondola on the Grand Canal in Venice with an upright piano perched in a gondola. How cool is that? So we can't quite follow that, but we will give you his song, La Barchetta. So, banished Lorenzo da Ponte was from Venice, he ended up in Vienna and became the librettist at the Italian theatre there, where he met a certain Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and created 3 of the famous operas that have ever been written. Don Giovanni, Così fan tutte, and Le Nozze di Figaro, which of course we were supposed to perform at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in June. So we're going to perform 2 arias from Le Nozze di Figaro. The first is Figaro's first aria, Se vuol ballare. Little known to most people, I actually did sing Figaro twice. Once in Glyndebourne and once at the English National Opera, and I enjoyed it very much. But I was happy to move on to the Count, because the Count is a little higher. But this first aria, he just learns from Susanna, Figaro just learns from Susanna, that the Count has designs on her, and has decided that they should go away, and that Susanna should be around as the Count's sort of personal secretary, which Figaro doesn't like at all. And he says, Se vuol ballare, signor continuo, if you want to dance, little Count, then fair enough, you can dance, but it's me who's going to be calling the tune.
Bravo, signor padrone, ora incomincio a capire il mistero e a veder schietto tutto il vostro progetto. Alondra è vero, voi ministro, io corriero, e la Susanna segreta ambasciatrice non sarà, Figaro il dice. Se vuol ballare, signor continuo, se vuol ballare, signor continuo, il chitarrino le suonerò, il chitarrino le suonerò, sì, le suonerò, sì, le suonerò. Se vuol venire nella mia scuola, la capriola le insegnerò. Se vuol venire nella mia scuola, la capriola le insegnerò, sì, le insegnerò, sì, le insegnerò. Saprò, ma piano. Meglio arcano dissimulando scoprir potrò. L'arte sedendo, l'arte lavorando, impoggendo, dirà scherzando, tutte le macchine rovescerò. L'arte sedendo, l'arte lavorando, impoggendo, dirà scherzando, tutte le macchine rovescerò, tutte le macchine rovescerò, tutte le macchine rovescerò. Se vuol ballare, signor continuo, se vuol ballare, signor continuo, il chitarrino le suonerò, il chitarrino le suonerò, sì, le suonerò, sì, le suonerò.
So, moving on later in the opera, Le Nozze di Figaro, we come to the Count's aria. This begins Act 3, when the Count, it doesn't quite begin Act 3, it's near to the beginning of Act 3, when the Count overhears Figaro say, no, Susanna say, hai già vinto la causa. We've won the case. And this sets the Count's mind racing. Eventually he works out that there's no way that they can foil his dastardly plot, and he vows revenge, saying the only thing that keeps me happy is knowing that I'm going to beat Figaro, I'm going to get the girl. Except he doesn't. Like all the baritones, it's always the tenors that get the girl. So this is Hai già vinto la causa, and the aria Vedrò mentre io sospiro.
Hai già vinta la causa, cosa sento? In qual laccio cadea? Perché ti lo voglio di tal modo punirmi, a piacer mio la sentenza sarà. Ma se pagasse la vecchia pretendente, pagata in tua maniera, e poi che Antonio, che a un incognito Figaro ricusa di dargli nipote in matrimonio, coltivando l'orgoglio di questo mentecato. Tutto ciò va ora a giro. Il colpo è fatto. Vedrò mentr'io sospiro, felice un servo vivo. E un ben che inganne sbiro, che mi posseder vorrà. Vedrò per l'amore, unita a un vile oggetto, investo l'affetto, che belle poi non ha, che belle poi non ha. Vedrò mentre io sospiro, felice un servo mio, per ben che inganno io desiro, e posseder vorrà. Vedrò per l'amore, unita a un vile oggetto, investo l'affetto, che belle poi non ha, che belle poi non
famous product of Vienna, Franz Schubert. These are two songs that we've chosen for you here. The first is Auf dem Wasser zu singen. I'm just going to check that everything is still going okay. Seems that it is. So we have Auf dem Wasser zu singen. To be sung on the water, where the poet muses about the sun setting over the water and the bulrushes swaying in the breeze. And he concludes that he knows that he too, at some point, must pass as the days pass, but in the meantime, he's going to enjoy the beauty that's in front of him. Excuse me. Excuse me a moment. I'm just fighting some biological problems, not the one we're all fearing, but sometimes, as Cheryl Milnes once said to me in a masterclass, singing is a wet art. So it's a little bit too wet at the moment. The next Schubert song is Auf der Brücke, a favourite of both Audrey's and mine, a rambunctious, crazy song about a young man on horseback who's flying through the dark night. He says he could enjoy all the things that are around him, but he only wants to get back to one person, and that's his love. And that if the birds can endure their long migrations over land and sea to find pastures new, why can't he hang on to the back of the horse and end up with longing guiding him home to the person he loves? This is Auf der Brücke. I told you it was live, I just need to check a word there. None of you noticed that, did you? So now we go back to the World Opera and the two remaining Da Ponte operas. So first we have Don Giovanni, Di Vieni alla Finestra. Don Giovanni's Little Serenade. Fortunately, I've had the great honour of seeing this role many, many times, which of course means now I'm going to make a mistake, and then you're all going to point it out. But this is his serenade where he's trying to woo the maid of Donna Elvira down from her balcony. For a cup of tea, I would guess.
Oh
I think he probably got his cup of tea, didn't he?
Non c'è mai.
So now, the last opera piece. This is Guglielmo's alternative aria from Così fan tutte. I've sung the role of Guglielmo many, many times, and when the aria Non siate ritrosi comes along, which is dramatically great, but musically isn't so interesting. I always would have preferred to have been singing this aria, Rivolgete a lui lo sguardo, turn again to him your eyes. You crazy ladies, look at us, we're amazing. We're stronger than Cyclopses, we're better lovers than Mark Antony ever was. We can sing, we can dance better than ballerinas, and we have something else, secret that nobody knows about. And as they run off, bella, bella, they're good, they're amazing, fantastic. They are heroines, they are paragons of constancy, and we are wonderment, Don Alfonso. So this is Rivolgete a lui lo sguardo.
Rivolgete a lui lo sguardo e vedrete come sta. Tutto dice, io cielo, io alto, idol mio, pietà, pietà. Io alto, io cielo, io alto, idol mio, pietà, pietà. E voi para sol, dove voi inveci a me concede, bene io mi troverete, quel che l'abbro dir non sa. Uno l'anno innamorato, non è niente mio confronto. Un nevolo il seppia capo, verso lui per nulla è pronto. Sono poco i miei sospiri, sono bronzo i suoi desiri. Se si parla, poi diverto, cerco solo ed egli è certo che non guai, non si trovano aliena cara. Se si parla, poi diverto, cerco solo ed egli è certo che non guai, non si trovano aliena cara. Aliena cara, aliena cara. Siam due Teresi per ricchezza, due Narcisi per bellezza, gli amori marcantoni, verso noi sarian buffoni, verso noi sarian buffoni, verso noi sarian buffoni. Siam più forti, dulci troppo, dulci troppo. Al parti e sopra, letterati al parti e sopra. bella, bella, e non solo, se ne vanno, se ne vanno, se ne vanno, e io ricordo, io ricordo, io ricordo, ero in Costanza, spenti sogni bella, sì, ero in Costanza, spenti sogni bella. Spenti sogni bella, eroine di Costanza, spenti sogni bella, spenti sogni bella, spenti sogni bella, di bella, di bella.
So, with the death of the emperor in 1790 and Mozart's death in 1791, Lorenzo da Ponte lost his patronage in Vienna and decided to head off to Paris. Except the French Revolution was in full swing, and he decided Paris probably wasn't a great place to go at that point, and so he diverted and ended up in London, where again he became a librettist, amongst other things. He taught languages. He was also a grocer, did all kinds of things. So in London, we are now, and inspired by that, I thought I'd like to give you a piece from one of my favourite duos, Flanders and Swan, very, very famous throughout the 50s, 60s and 70s. And as they said, forgive me, they toured all over the civilized world and America. Sorry, was it too much? I'll drop the stand-up comedy now and give you their song, which does have a Mozart connection. They, of course, lived in London, so that's our London connection. The Mozart connection this is based on Mozart's very, very famous E-flat horn concerto. Now, it's a little-known fact, and I don't know if you even knew this, my love. I used to play the French horn at school, and I gave it up because it was too heavy to carry. And I told my mum that I had too many social commitments and I wouldn't keep it up. But the chap in this particular song did keep it up. And this is the story of what happened. I once had a whim and I had to obey to buy a French horn from a second-hand shop. I polished it up and I started to play it in spite of the neighbours who begged me to stop. To sound my horn, I had to be there. I'm on the shore, I found my horn. It was a bit of a devil to play. So I rewound, thinking it would sound a beautiful sound, so rich and round. Oh, the hours I had to spend before I mastered it in the end. But that was yesterday, and just today I looked in the usual place. There was the case, but the horn itself was missing. Oh, I carried it gone, as a thief has anyone seen it by the road. Oh, I carried it gone, what a blow, now I know I'm unable to play my leg. Who swiped my horn? Somebody did. I found a concerto who wanted to play it, afraid of my talent for playing more. The moment it later I wanted to display it, it vanished away and continued the war. I lost that horn. I know I was using it yesterday. I lost that horn. Lost that horn. Found that horn. Gone. There's not much chance of getting me back or of getting me there. Some party folk whose party jokes pretend to hunt to the wall. Gone away, was it wanted to be away? So that's a bit of Flanders and Swan silliness for you. From London, bankrupt, Lorenzo da Ponte made his way across the Atlantic Ocean and settled first in New York and then in Pennsylvania, but came back to New York and became, in fact, a naturalized American citizen at the age of 79. A few years later, he actually founded the Italian Opera Theatre in New York in 1833, and which became the precursor to the Metropolitan Opera and everything that followed. This was the first purpose-built opera theatre in the whole of New York City. So this was stuff I didn't know about Lorenzo da Ponte. He's an absolutely fascinating character and had quite a life. And he died in New York at the grand old age of 89. So with New York now as our inspiration, and also I'd like to throw this song out to New York. It's a very, very special city to both Audrey and to me, and it's been particularly hard hit in the current crisis. Of course, we all have difficulties to deal with, and you know this song goes out to everybody, but in particular to those in New York, Ray and Sean, if you're watching, to all of our other friends in New York, and also to somebody who's not in New York but is in Florida at the moment, because this song is somewhere from West Side Story, of course, set in the Upper West Side in New York, and it says somewhere there's a place for us. And Chuck Morris, you've given us a place, so somewhere there is a place for us. Thank you very, very much. And we'd like to end this song, end this recital on this particular beautiful song. Somewhere, we'll be on the other side of all this, and we'll see all of your smiling faces in the audience in Los Angeles Opera, but also in other opera houses, theatres, constables around the world. And in the meantime, if there's anything you can do to help support the Los Angeles Opera, we're all suffering at the moment. All the your help to survive so we can all live to fight another day. So, thank you all. Thank you, my love.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again another time.